All right, well, welcome back to Terrible at Fishing. Put you guys in the middle. I don't think I need to see my computer screen too much. I'll put you in the middle so you're looking straight. I'm looking straight at you, etc., etc. All right, kick back. All right, so what I've been sort of thinking about a winter project because pretty soon, hey there, hey Goop. I'm thinking about a winter project. So I'm making little itty bitty baits back here, tiny itty bitty baits. This is for ice fishing. So I already started painting ice fishing jigs, and the clear coat's going to make them really, really pop in the water because they're going to glow really nice. Um, the but besides ice fishing projects, um, talking to the owners, and they want me more involved in some of the tournaments and clinics and things like that. We had a great fishing derby this last weekend. We had well over 100 people participate, and uh, everybody had fun. I made sure everybody went away with prizes, and it was just a lot of fun. Congratulations to the winners. I personally think everybody was a winner. So, um, so this winter project, you guys know that I have some 5 books on the market, fiction and nonfiction books. And I went to the museum here in Klamath Falls, which is fantastic, by the way, great museum. They didn't have any books on Lake of the Woods, so I went to the library because I always like to learn about the place I'm living in, and then uh, I frequent. So I went to the library to find a book on Lake of the Woods. They didn't have. So there is a book out there on all the different cabins, the history of all the different cabins at Lake of the Woods. I couldn't find it, but evidently it's out there. But it's really, I don't really need to learn too much about the cabins on the Lake of the Woods, but the Lake of the Woods itself as a fishery and its history. So this winter, I'm I've already started it, by the way, the book, and doing research. I'll do interviews, and I'm going to put together a booklet as something that can be put inside the cabins at Lake of the Woods, um, at the store or something like that. Very simple. We're talking about, I don't know, 40-page booklet, maybe, if that big. And it'll have the history of Lake of the Woods. It'll have little interesting tidbits, pictures of the wildlife around Lake of the Woods so people can identify it. And of course, fishing, because it really is a fishing retreat. And so in the book, it's going to talk about the most popular fishing that is at Lake of the Woods, from rainbow trout, German brown trout, to crappie, to perch, to largemouth and smallmouth bass. And those really are the main ones. And then um, where you can find them, how you can fish them, what you should use in order to fish them. And so the booklet is going to have basically how to fish, how to catch fish in Lake of the Woods. So it'll have a chapter on that. And that'll be a lot of fun. I'm actually in the middle of writing that chapter now because I know that off the top of my head. But I have found some really good information on Lake of the Woods and the history of it, and some really funny tidbits too. And so I'm doing a lot. Boy, I'm doing a lot of reading, a lot of highlighting, a lot of this and that on all these different resources. Now, come to find out, there is a Lake of the Woods Historical Society. Go figure. And George, one of the owners, is actually a member of that. So I'll be doing interviews with George and seeing what he's got and pictures and stuff like that. And basically, the booklet is going to be put together from a first person perspective, which is mine. Okay. So It'll be put together as a first person perspective on my discovery of Lake of the Woods, which it should mirror everybody that visits it, impressions on Lake of the Woods, from uh, ornithology, which is the bird watching, study of birds, to fishing, to horticulture, the trees and things like that. Really, really fun. The booklet, is evolving. I just started writing it, and I want to put together, sort of identifying. A person can take the booklet out on a walk and say, "Oh, look, there's a chestnut back, nuthatcher. Oh, look, there's an acorn woodpecker. Or, look, there's a raccoon." Although we all know what a raccoon looks like. Or, no, that's not a chipmunk. That's a golden mantled squirrel. Hey, I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Better. And so, it'll be sort of a kind of a sort of a field guide synopsis of Lake of the Woods, but also a tutorial book, um, and a history book. It'll be interesting. Who owns the Lake of the Woods? What is he? What's his goals with it? What has he done with it? Things like that. John Doherty, which is I always describe John as a consummate gentleman, um, very professional, very kind, reasonable, patient. What else would you want? Um, Now, Blinky there, that's his grandpa. so, um, so, but I have great respect for John, and I want to help with my favorite spot. In fact, in Lake of the Woods, if you ever go to lakeofthewoodsresort.com, you'll see live camera feeds of this place. It's just beautiful, and it is one of the best resorts in all of Oregon, and it's one of the prettiest lakes. I mean, take Crater Lake out of the picture. Okay, it's kind of took a volcano to massively erupt, but to create Crater Lake, and it's absolutely the most stunning lake you'll ever see. But it's not a fishing lake. It really isn't. The water's so clean you can drink from it healthily. It is just that kind of a pristine environment. So this is probably the best fishing retreat, that everybody can enjoy, old and young, and um, it'll be great once the ADA fishing dock is put in, which is something I'm really looking forward to. People in wheelchairs can go out there and just fish from a dock, and that'll be fantastic. But it's coming along. It's coming along. I figure I'll finish it by spring, in April. But once you write a book, then you got to format the book. Then you got to edit. You got to edit the book. Then you got to format the book. And you got to do all these different things. I mean, writing a book is really just the first portion of it. There's all these other things that have to happen. So, are you going to sell the book at Lake of the? Yeah, yeah, we're going to sell the book at Lake of the Woods, and we'll probably put one if it's okay. I mean, again, if it's okay with the owners, of course. You always check, but I think one should be put inside every cabin too. That would be. I mean, it'll be. I mean, if I rented a cabin at Lake of the Woods and I saw this little booklet and it was my little field guide. Oh, what kind of tree is that? Oh, what kind of bush is that? Oh, these trails. Put trails in them. A trail guide and things like that. And it's everything in a little booklet. What kind of bird is that? Oh, that's a bat house. What kind of bats do we have? Things like that. Those are all the interesting things. Um, it's a discovery book, but it's also a learning book. So if a person wants to go out fishing, they want to fish from the bank, or they want to fish from a boat, where would they go for the best fishing? In what time of year? If they want to go ice fishing, where do they go for ice fishing? What do they expect to catch and what are they going to use? And all this stuff. Um, I mean, I could have a book just on fishing on Lake of the Woods, but I think putting it inside this tourist book with the history of it and the field guides on it would be is pretty good. I think it's a good idea. It's something that the resort needs. It would engage people into their environment. So if the husband's going to, or if one of the family members wants to go out fishing, the other families can go on a trail hike with this booklet and understand their environment. One thing about bird watching that I enjoyed is that I knew the names of the birds. And so I would take people on bird walks every Saturday. And when I lived in Fresno, and I teach them, oh, that's a cedar waxwing. Oh, there's an acorn woodpecker or northern flicker, northern red-shafted flicker, or this or that. It's just that's a kestrel. That's this and that, and people understood once they have names to animals around them. Um, it just makes it more enjoyable. We have western tanagers, and stuff like that in the Lake of the Woods, and when people see it, they go, "Oh my God, is that an escaped, you know, bird from somebody's um, cage?" And we have goldfinches. I see lots of goldfinches lately, and goldfinches are beautiful, but they look like wild canaries, but they're not. But knowing all these different birds um, or animals that they see, always calling a squirrel a chipmunk when it's not. Those are things that I think it would engage people better in their environment, and it would get them out of the cabin more and with meaning when they're walking down to the lake or walking on a trail or something like that. I think it'll be a fun book for Lake of the Woods. We'll probably put it in the museum here and the library here, and we'll get that done, next year. So this winter, my entire, non-fishing time, besides making itty bitty baits, little itty bitty baits over there. I mean, some of them you can't even see. I mean, just little itty bitty 3.5 millimeter baits. I mean, ice fishing, and some are much bigger, of course, but there's a dozen 3.5 millimeters over there, and then I'll dip them into that. Well, fortunately, I don't have to put eyes on them. I don't have to put hooks on them. So that's a big plus because it's a tungsten um, bait, so it's not lead. So that's a big plus because you get higher density, greater weight with a smaller bait. So they'll be very good baits when they hit the market. Um, but yeah, it'll be a fun book. It's been a while since I wrote a book. Uh, well, since I've had my aneurysm and my strokes, um, it's been that long. It's been 4 years, and this book will be mostly nonfiction, mostly true, but with a little bit of me in there because it is from a first person perspective. My sarcasm will be in the book. My jokes will be in the book. Um, it'll be fun. Oh, it was a fun derby last weekend. I had a ball. And 90% of the people that participated stayed to the end. I was able to give out all my baits. I was worried I wasn't going to be able to give out all my baits and trout ticklers baits, and we gave out fishing poles and fishing gear, and it was just a fun Saturday. It was a great Saturday. I'll be on the lake again tomorrow. You saw what I was catching yesterday on my live feed. It was a bunch of trout. How can you not catch trout right now? Hey, Connery. Oh, I'm doing good, my friend. I'm doing good. So I'll be out on the lake again tomorrow. Uh, Try to get as much fishing before the weather gets bad. But in the meantime, I'm going to be working on this book, this project. And, each section from bird watching to trees, and I might section it, on trails. So as you walk down, certain trails, you would see those trees. And so a person could, if they went on that trail, they would be able to identify these trees. And it'll be a four color printed book. It'll have color pictures and stuff like that in it because you got to do something like that. You got to do four color for a field guide. So, uh, but it'll be fun to which means I got to go on these walks, take pictures, um, and that's a lot for me. So I'll be doing some field research by going on these trails and taking pictures of many different things. On one trail, I saw when I was walking on it, wildlife tree, I think it was called. I don't know. It's got all sorts of cool things living in it, which is pretty cool. And I'll catalog that. It'll be sort of a fun thing for people to, here's the wildlife tree, and look, there's a nuthatch or this or that. It's kind of fun. Or the holes on the tree, are from the woodpecker. Some of them from pileated or from this or that of type of woodpecker. Um, to see the proof of stuff like that is kind of fun. Um, Beavers and otters and things like that are something that you might see well, you probably do see Lake of the Woods if you go often enough. We had raccoons plenty on Saturday. One was just watching us down right at the dock, and then he lives underneath the floorboards. Um, and it's just I think it's going to be a fun book. It'll get me out walking and talking and stuff like that, and then um, I already know the fishing one, so I'm writing the fishing chapters now, and the fishing is quite interesting. Nobody knows what's indigenous to Lake of the Woods. It really doesn't have the habitat and the food supply to support any indigenous fish. To be honest, some people say it was rainbow trout, but nobody knows. First survey was 1941, and before that, they were stocking the lake since 1960. So it was like it's just hello. Nobody knows what was. In fact, some say there was no fish in the lake when the first settlers came. It's just the way it is. So it's interesting to see the evolution of all the different species. Some came, some left, and it's just a matter of predatory, dominance, and things like that caused some fish to leave and some fish to come, and some were illegally populated in it, some were legally populated in it. It's interesting that a lot of fish just can't reproduce in the lake. Um, and then the reason there's so many perch is because other fish just don't like eating them. It's just it is. They just don't like eating them unless they're fingerlings. Um, but anyway, it's going to be a fun book. I think it's going to be a fun book for the visitors of Lake of the Woods and for the inhabitants of Klamath County and Southern Oregon to look at and to just check it out. It'll be, I think it'll be fun. Um, the snowmobile trails in the winter and the uh, the hiking trails in the summer, and all these things, are going to be put inside this booklet. Is that I kind of expect it to be about 50 pages, maybe a little longer. I don't know, depending on how many pictures I put in it. Which, when it comes to the horticulture and the ornithology, those things you gotta put. I don't know, 10 pictures. So somebody can walk on a trail and says, oh, that's that. Oh, that's a Stellar's jay. No, it's not a blue jay, because Western United States don't have blue jays. And interesting tidbits like there's no such thing as a blue feather, it's an optical illusion. And those things are interesting for people when they go out in nature to see, identify, and go, that's cool. I mean, because it looks blue, but there's no such thing as a blue feather. It is truly the way the feather is designed and cut in nature, and it refracts blue light to our eyes. So it's actually brown, but it's something that you could teach your kids, and that would be fun. Things like insects too. I think insects are an interesting thing to go out there. Kids love to find insects and bugs, um, and lizards and things like that. And that'll be fun to put in there. I could put like the ornithology, the horticulture, and the have the uh, wildlife in separate booklets. I could do that. It all depends. We'll see. But I think the simpler it is, the easier it is. So that's that is the project I have embarked on. You know, I'll learn a lot, and I'm going to interview people in the Lake of the Woods Historical Society. Didn't even know that existed. They don't have a website, so fortunately, I've got it in, and I'm going to sit down, talk to them, one or more of them, and just soak it up, take lots of notes, maybe do some recording, and so I can go over it and put that information in this booklet. But again, this booklet is going to be like a 6x9 booklet, and which is typical of all my books. All my books are 6x9, and um, that'll be fun. I think it'll be fun. What do you guys think? You think that? Connery likes it. It'd be cool. I mean, if you go to the marina or the general store and you see this booklet, you're going to buy it for a few bucks. I mean, you're just going to buy it. If it's a book on the Lake of the Woods and a guide. I mean, you'll have all the maps in there, and you're going to know, and all the maps you're going to have the sites that you can readily identify. So that'll be fun. well, we'll make sure you guys get an autographed copy. I think it'll be a lot of fun. I told one of the owners about my question. He liked the idea. I haven't talked to all the owners, obviously, but the yeah, thanks, Connery. The I think it would be a great addition to the Lake of the Woods history, and it'll be fun. Gosh, it's going to be a lot of fun. But when I started thinking about this, I'm thinking, oh, it's a lot of work. And it's going to be a lot of work. But in the winter, I don't do much fishing. In fact, in November, December, I don't do hardly any fishing. And so for those 2 months, by the first freeze of the lake where we can walk on it, which is probably February, the book will be finished. Then it goes into editing. And thanks, Dale. Well, I fish whenever I can, but the but hopefully by February, by the first, when the lake is frozen over, all that's done. I will hire an editor to edit it and then format it, and then although I can format it, and then we'll publish it, self-publish, um, on Amazon, so it'll be available on Amazon, and I'll order a bunch of them and we'll sell them to Lake of the Woods and get them in the library and the museum and stuff like that. And people that want to learn about it, could go on Amazon and order it. So it'll be readily available to everybody. So, all right. Well, that is it. Let me show you some of these ice fishing jigs. One you won't even be able to see. So tiny. This one and this one. All right. The ones that you can see. So there's this one. So yellow into a lime green. Then yellow into a red. Really, these are small ice fishing jigs. Okay, now this guy is a true ice fishing jig. Tungsten. This is going to be, again, it's going to illuminate yellow too. These will all glow. So, under the water. So, it's probably not too healthy for you, Connery. Yeah, well, the crazy thing, you drop this little itty bitty thing into the water. You drop that little thing into the water. It'll, let's see, it is tiny. You drop that little thing into the water. You put a little bit of worm on it, maybe some power bait. That's all you got to do. And that little itty bitty hook, this is a tungsten. It's made of tungsten, so it's heavier than it looks. But this thing right here will catch just about any fish you want through the ice. So a lot of people look at it and says, "What can you catch with that little hook?" You can catch a lot with that little hook. How are you going to tie that on? Well, you use really when you ice fish. There, I gotta punch the hole because the paint clogged it. But there is a tiny. Oh, is it going to focus? Probably not. Anyway, there's the little hole. See, there it is. It's right there. It's tiny. I know. It's hard to tie it on. You got to have really light line. So, you're looking at 2 or 4 pound test to tie on this bait. Now, I'll have different size baits, and I'm thinking about offering, like sort of like a starter pack for ice fishing. So I wanted to check out these 3.5 mils. I'll do a 5.5 mil too, um, and it's got a bigger hook and bigger. It's heavier, but we'll see. This is a gift for one of the owners. So that's beautiful, isn't it? That's real pretty. Now, I just painted one for me. Yeah, I just painted it today. So it's pretty raw right now. But because the kokanee are starting their spawn right now, they're jumping out of the lake like dolphins, pods of dolphins. But this right here is got no eyes, no clear coat, and it's just not finished. This is just the paint. And that right there, you can see all the different colors I put in it. There's yellow down there, there's green, there's yellow, green, there's pearl, there's black, there's a black green. It's just, there's a lot of colors in this. So once the clear coat, the eyes and the clear coat on it, you can get a better idea of it. For over 40 years, Dale. Oh yeah, it's definitely acceptable to eat your catch. Absolutely. People, I mean, I can't keep 40 fish. I mean, when I go out there and I fish, I catch like 40 or 50 fish. I mean, what am I going to do with 40? I'm not bringing those home. So I catch and release. I did keep 5 trout yesterday. One, one I kept out of spite because if you see here, there's 2 holes that hole, and that hole. A hook went through my skin, through and through, because I was unhooking that trout, and he was just flailing so much that the hook went in and out of my skin. So he was dinner. I gutted him slow too. I even showed him his guts. I mean, I was really vindictive. But if you watch the live yesterday, you'll see me pull the hook out of my hand. It was only through the skin, so it wasn't too bad. Um, if it goes through your flesh, it hurts more. But if it's just like you pinch your skin, then it went through and it was fine. Pulled it right out. I could have cut the barb off, but I didn't want to lose the lure and go to a different lure. So I just pulled it out. Oh yeah, oh, you saw that one, yeah. Well, he was, that poor fish was traumatized. Well, I was traumatized. He fell off the hook before I fell off the hook. So we're, I caught both of us. So but anyway, that's just part of fishing. It's not fishing unless you hook yourself once or twice. But yeah, I hook myself a lot. But yeah, this is going to be a great, this one right here when I'm done with it. Next week I'll be fishing brown trout with this thing, and um, it's got this will dive at about 4 or 5 feet, which is perfect right now because the brown trout are in the shallows right now. And I mean, you can't really see it all on there, but you can see those dots. See, those dots are also part of the salmon's coloring. And so when I get the clear coat on, it really pops the colors out a lot more. And the white belly and the yellow, and this, it's just, I'm really happy with the way this turned out. It's going to look really good. So, and then this is a misprint. I didn't do a very good job on this one, but to be honest, fish ain't going to notice. I'll still catch a trout, or a brown trout on that. So even though I messed it up, it was, but he was, yeah, no, he didn't. No, he didn't. He didn't. But he gave it a good fight. He gave it a good fight. So I did actually. I found a guest at the lodge yesterday, and I cleaned the fish for her, and I put them on ice and in a bag for her, and she took them home last night and she ate them because my family doesn't like eating fish too much, so I just gave them to her. I mean, right now you can catch a trout so easily, you can catch your limit so easily right now because we just put 2,000 plus in there, and oh, it was driving me nuts yesterday. I was fishing this one school of trout, and this guy puts his boat right on top of where I was casting. And I told him I was fishing that school right where he is. He goes, I know. And he just put his boat right where I was fishing. Oh, I was mad at him. So mad at him. I just couldn't stop talking about his rudeness. And I just, uh, drove me nuts. So, I mean, 100 feet, that's your courtesy. All right, 100 feet. I like eating fish too, Coop. I do too. And George smokes them so good. I gotta get a smoker one day. I'm thinking, this is what I'm thinking about too. Something else. I'm thinking about doing soft baits. So to get started with soft bait making, oh, you didn't. I'm thinking about doing soft baits. Now, my initial offering will be for crappies and small soft bait jigs, and then um, a larger jig. So, yeah, Trout Tickler's really good. He does a great job. But I won't be doing him this fancy. But I will be doing this Trout Tickler, and I will be doing more finesse baits, and it'll be I like BFS. Yeah, that's my favorite thing to do. So I'll be doing mule fishing. Does great BFS baits. He does. His formulation is really really good. But there are a few baits I want to do that I just get. Yeah, like crappie jigs. Um, that uh, yeah, I'll show you guys in another video. BFS is bait finesse system. It is light tackle on a bait caster. That's what it is. I enjoy catching fish on very light tackle. Now, I sometimes, because I have lots of rods, sometimes I forget which rod I have in my hand. Yesterday I lost a big fish because I thought I had a different rod in my hand and I broke my line. And so when you go with really, you got to play it longer and easier. Once I figured out, oh, that's the wrong rod, I had to re-rig it. And then I was playing all the trout that were hitting my line yesterday really easily, letting them take some drag, pulling it in, playing them in the water. It takes longer to catch a fish on light tackle, but it's more fun because the fight lasts longer and everything feels big. So BFS is one of the best ways of fishing, and that's why I enjoy it so much. Now I do have, my heavy rods, medium, heavy, medium, things like that for other types of fishing like lily pads. You can't do BFS or ultralight on lily pads. You just can't do it because as soon as that bass grabs it and goes under, you're going to break your line. So you got to have really heavy line. And then things like these, you can't throw this on a BFS because that would break your line just casting it out there. So you can't do that. So you need heavier stuff. So there's always a reason for picking a rod and reel. Um, and they all have their purpose. People always wonder, why do you have so many rods on your boat? I says, because they all have a specific purpose. They're set up differently for different types of fishing. But 90% of the time, I always use ultralight. I have a fantastic ultralight spinning setup and my BFS setup. Um, when we get to 1,000 subscribers, I'll be giving away an ultralight setup. It'll be spinning. And it will be a Cajun rod with a 2,000 spinning reel. And it will be it is a fishing reel. It's actually Cooper. It's an entire thing. The rod is set up for a bait caster, and then uh, I don't have everything's out in my truck. So you but the reel. In fact, I put this new spool on my bait caster to make it, to get it to spin faster, and I just didn't get the hang. So I put the Shimano back on it, and I'll try the rower again in the off season and just practice it in the backyard until I get the hang of it. But I don't have too many more fishing trips left, and so I'm just going to use the Shimano um, spool on that, and it'll be good. I'll take that rod. I will tell you that the Cajun rod with a carbon fiber reel on it is one of my favorite setups. So at 1,000, so tell your friends, share the YouTube channel. Let's get to 1,000, and after we get to 1,000, we'll do a 1 month giveaway, and we'll just have everybody leave comments, and then we'll do a drawing at the end of the month. And I will direct ship it from both the manufacturers, both Cajun and I think it's going to be the Piscifun Carbon X reel because I love that reel. And those two companies, after I pay for it, will send it directly to the winner, and you will not regret it. You will fish this all the time. You will fish it all the time. And you're going to do it like me 90% of the time. I mean, you're going to have other rods for other things, but you can't do better than that Cajun rod and the Piscifun Carbon X 2000 spinning reel. That spinning reel is fantastic. I've been very impressed with it. I wouldn't give it to somebody if I wasn't impressed with it. It's a direct drive. It's just solid as all get out. Super light. So, I mean, you can fish with this thing all day long with zero fatigue on your wrist. I mean, it is just so good. You're gonna love it. I mean, but that's my giveaway. And I'll send a few baits. We got to give you a few terrible fishing baits. I did make some really cool baits. I mean, uh, so this one right here. So exactly, that's exactly right, Connery. Now this is my new packaging. It's 6 millimeter, 6 mil thickness, so you can move this thing around without poking the hole in it. And I put my logo there, and then this is the back thing. It gives all the information about me and how to contact me. So that's pretty cool. And then this one's really cool too. Look at that. That is a very, very cool bait. Really cool. This is a good looking bait. So anyway, and I've got, ice fishing. One thing about little baits like ice fishing, you put a split ring on that little thing and hooks. That's a lot of work. It's just a lot of work. All right. It's a lot of work. More harder work than putting these split rings on and those hooks. This is harder. This is harder. Should charge more for those, but nobody's going to pay a lot of money for a little bait like that. But $10, something like that, and I might do sort of a package deal or something like that. So it'll be fun. Yeah, subscribe to Connery. I fished with Connery. He's a good guy. He's a good guy. I mean, you guys. In fact, I fish with you too. I mean, I try to fish with everybody. I mean, um, it's just fun. I like sharing fishing, so it's just a lot of fun. So, all right, guys, that is really my winter project. So what I'm going to do is that every once in a while you'll see me do a video on this winter project, and I'm going to talk about the chapter I wrote and whatnot. I love snap swivels. I love snap swivels. But some baits don't work good with snap swivels, like my coffin bill. My coffin bill, which is the best bait I have. Oh yeah, here it is. This is the best bait I fish with. I've never done a better bait than this. This one's best if tied directly to the line. So this one right here, if you tie it directly to the bait, it's going to swim true. A swivel on it, it'll cause it to not swim as well. But that's what you're going to have to play with every once in a while. And this bait will catch fish constantly. It's funny. These guests were at the lake yesterday, and it's not my day. I wasn't working yesterday, but I was on the lake fishing. So I went up to them and I asked them how they were doing. He said, "Well, not too good." So I gave them one of my coffin bills. I go, "This is how you work it." And I tossed it, and I showed him that you reel it in so slow it hurts. And I think after about 30 seconds, boom, I caught a fish. On me teaching them how to do it. So what you know, you guys that fish with me is like what you need to learn is the bait. You need to learn the bait. Once you learn the bait and get the feel for the bait, you will catch fish like crazy. And this one right here, yeah, I mean this one you're going to jig it. This one's going to jig, and it's a good lipless too. I mean you could pull this through the water when you're not ice fishing. But this one right here is I bought it specifically for ice fishing, and the head is going to glow yellow, bright yellow, and then you're going to have two hooks on here, 12s. I think I got 12s for it. Yeah, but this one, I'm not really crazy about this manufacturer. I bought a different manufacturer, so yeah, here's the 12s, and their quality control just isn't. I have to throw away a few hooks every, out of this thing, so I have to test the quality and stuff. But these little, try to put these little itty bitty hooks on it, man. It's a tiny little hook. Yeah, tiny. That's what's going on it. So, but that's and then the split rings. Now there's something too, because you got to do the split rings twice, so 4 times per bait. Once you got to put it on the bait, and then you got to split it again in order to put a hook on it without putting a hook through your fingers. It's not that easy. The coffin bills are the best. You can't. Once you get the hang of it, 8 out of 10 times you can catch fish. You don't know what you're going to catch. You can catch trout, which I was catching a bunch of yesterday, perch. You can catch bass. You can catch anything on a coffin bill. It is a gambit, but once you're going to catch something. Yesterday I was just catching a bunch of trout, and I finally just left the trout area, and I said, enough with trout. Let's go try to catch a smallmouth. I didn't catch some smallmouths, but I did catch some largemouths. Nothing of size on bass yesterday. So. Oh, I had a burrito today from the Cernos, best taqueria in town. Best taqueria in town. So, um, but anyway, It's been good. So tomorrow is kind of my anniversary in a way. 36 years ago, I proposed to my wife tomorrow, and she said yes, obviously, because we've been married over 35 years. So tomorrow is my 36th anniversary of proposal. Why she said yes, I have no idea, but I'll take it. Well, you guys, one thing about buying my stuff. One, I test them. Two, you know what goes into it. It's not like a bait at Walmart or at Bass Pro Shops. You guys know what goes into all these. It's a lot of work. Even on little guys. This thing, you can't see it. They do work. They do work. So you guys know it too because you fished with me. I fish almost exclusively with my baits. Now there are two. Um, let me see. See if I can find it. Where is it? Yeah, there's a a baby boss worm that I want to mold, and let me see. There's an and a uh, what's it called? Wax wiggler. Um, so both those are finesse baits, and um, to start this up, it's going to cost me a few $100 to start up, and but both these are finesse baits. But I really, both of these, I just don't see this design on the market, and I think they're going to work really, really good for not only panfish fishing but also for trout fishing. And I live in a trout, area. Thanks, Coop. Awesome. Thanks, Gunner. Yeah, it's great. I want you guys to catch fish. I want everybody to catch fish. So that's why I do what I do. So these new soft lures, I have to wait for until my accounts receivable come in, and and when I get that money, then I'm thinking about I'll just reinvest it into soft baits, and it'll cost me like $400 I think to set up for soft baits for molds, injectors. I have to find an old microwave somewhere, and then sort of come up with an area over here Bob, my goldfish, has got to move over and reset this up a little bit in order to accommodate soft plastics making. So it'll be cool. It'll be cool. And then we'll just expand it as we get into spring, late spring here. We'll get into Senkos and Ned rigs and things like that. And we'll get into some unique worm molds. Something, you guys can go to the store and get a Senko. I want to make a mold of something that is uncommon but effective. So that's it. Well, Lake of the Woods got plenty of trout right now, Connery. I mean, right out in the middle of Rainbow Bay, you cannot not catch trout right now. And they put, I didn't catch any legals yesterday. I caught about 15 trophy sized trout yesterday, kept five, one out of pure vengeance. But yeah, easy to do. So get to Lake of the Woods. So, all right, guys, I'm going to let you go. Um, it's almost dinner time here. So go up, say hi to my wife. She's been running errands all day. So I did my errands. I'm finally getting my wedding ring resized. So all those old ladies stopped flirting with me at Lake of the Woods. I'll see you guys. You guys take care. It's great seeing you guys, and thanks for popping in. And thanks for hitting like. I really appreciate that. And we'll see you guys out on the water tomorrow. We'll do a live broadcast again tomorrow. Take care, everybody. Thank you guys. We will.